After 8 years of an intense confrontation between those who criticize the official version and those who support it, the debate on 9/11 seems to have come to a standstill, with both sides claiming victory. Unfortunately, only the truth can be considered the winner in this case, and that seems to be still eluding everybody at this point.
Jim Miggs is the editor of Popular Mechanics magazine. In 2005, he and a staff of reporters decided to take on the factual and scientific claims made by members of the 9/11 conspiracy movement.
Since then, other documentaries by the BBC, Discovery Channel, or National Geographic have been made along the same lines, but Popular Mechanics, done with History Channel, remains to this day the main reference point for the 9/11 debate.
Miggs enlisted the help of more than 70 experts in fields including aviation, engineering, and the military. The results were first published in a magazine article, then more fully developed in a book titled Debunking 9/11 Myths: Why Conspiracy Theories Can't Stand Up to the Facts.
I think what Popular Mechanics did with the 9/11 conspiracy theory was just about one of the best things ever done in the history of skepticism. That is exactly how it should be done. Here's the claim, here's the answer. Here's the claim, here's the answer. By the end, they got nothing to stand on. Boom, end of story.
There is only one question. Did Popular Mechanics present and discuss the most important questions posed by the conspiracy theorists, or did they only present those that they felt were easier to tackle? Just to make sure that this wasn't the case, here is a summary of the most important points that seem to have found no answer yet. If those answers do exist instead, all the official side needs to do is to indicate clearly what they are, so that we can finally put this matter to rest.
I don't see any air anymore.
Okay.
All I see is smoke.
Okay, Kim.
No.
We're going to think positive
I'm
now.
sorry.
The Twin Towers had been designed to withstand the impact of a large airliner of similar weight and size of those used on September 11th. In a document published by NIST, the National Institute for Standards and Technology, we can read: the buildings have been investigated and found to be safe, even assuming a collision with a large jet airliner, Boeing 707 DC-8, traveling at 600 miles per hour. Analysis indicates that such collision would result in only local damage which could not cause collapse or substantial damage to the building and would not endanger the lives and safety of occupants not in the immediate area of impact. Most of the people caught above the impact area could have possibly survived.
Oh my God.
As both towers fell instead, due to the impacts and the ensuing fires, almost 3,000 people died. Question: why have no criminal charges been brought against those responsible for the design and the construction of the Twin Towers, nor has even a suggestion of criminal responsibility been formulated against them? If your relatives died in the collapse of a building that was designed to withstand a certain kind of impact, wouldn't you want to at least have the people responsible for the construction appear in court? This aerial tomography, taken by NASA 5 days after the events, shows some exceptionally high temperatures at the base of the three buildings collapsed. By November, 6 weeks after the events, the fires beneath the rubble were still exceptionally hot, even though there is very little oxygen to be consumed underground.
And this is 6 weeks later, almost 6 weeks later. And as we get closer to the center of this, it gets hotter and hotter. It's probably 1,500 degrees. We've had some small windows into what we thought was a core at some point, and it looked like an oven, you know?
It's still, I believe, 1,100 degrees. The guy's boots just melt within a few hours.
There are numerous testimonies of molten metal and molten steel, seen by rescue workers and other people beneath the rubble.
Get down below and you'd see molten steel running down the channel rails. Like you're in a foundry. Like lava.
One of the more unusual artifacts to emerge from the rubble is this rock-like object that has come to be known as the meteorite.
It's this fused element of
of steel, molten steel and concrete and all of these things all fused by the heat into one single element.
In any other museum, it could be passed off as a meteorite. And while this was born of intense heat, this is altogether different. This formation is really 4 separate stories of the World Trade Center, compressed, compacted, incinerated, exposed to temperatures as hot as the inner Earth.
I never knew this existed.
Also, some columns from the collapsed buildings show the effects of extremely high temperatures.
It's hard to believe that it actually bent because of the size of it and how there's no cracks in the iron. It bent without almost a single crack in it. It takes thousands of degrees to bend steel like this.
Question: what caused the pools of molten metal and steel, bent the columns without cracking them, and kept burning for weeks underground? Both towers crumbled to the ground in 10-15 seconds at the most from the moment the collapse was initiated. This means that the top part of the buildings destroyed most of the floors below while traveling in a vertical direction at practically free-fall speed.
There is no scenario for a pancake effect of buildings falling that allows them to fall at the rate of free fall. If you were just to surmise, hypothetically as an approximation, that they would take a second for each floor to collapse, and if you were talking about the whole 110 floors, that would represent 110 seconds, or 100 seconds too many.
Furthermore, in describing the collapse of Building 7, which lasted approximately 6 seconds, NIST acknowledged that part of the building fell at free-fall speed for more than 2 seconds. Question: can you explain how the laws of physics, which call for falling objects to follow the path of least resistance, were defeated in all 3 cases? Whether intentionally crashed by the passengers or by the hijackers themselves, United 93 plunged to the ground in one piece before disappearing into this hole. Question: as no strong wind was present on that day, and since no one shot the plane in midair, can you explain how was it possible for some of the debris to be found as far as 8 miles from the impact site? Question: as the entire plane seems to have disappeared into this hole, how was it possible to recover and identify through DNA the remains of every single passenger? And 95% of the plane, by the way. Several witnesses saw a mysterious white jet flying over the impact site just after the crash had occurred. This is the explanation by Popular Mechanics.
It was a little Dassault Falcon corporate jet that was flying to a nearby airport. And what happened is once air traffic control knew they had lost Flight 93, they asked the nearest aircraft to go over the area and actually radio back exact coordinates for the crash site.
Do you see any activity on your right side, smoke or anything like that?
It appears to be just a dark cloud like a puff of black smoke.
The recording presented by Popular Mechanics, however, belongs to an exchange between Flight American 1060 and Cleveland Ground Control. Here is the complete, uncut segment.
American 1060, do you see anybody northwest of you? Can you see back that far there? We're looking now, sir. United 93, Cleveland, do you still hear the center?
Do you see any activity on your right side, smoke or anything like that?
Yeah, we do have a smoke puff now at about, probably 2 o'clock. It appears to be just a dark cloud like a puff of black smoke.
Cleveland was therefore asking American 1060 to take a look, and not the small white jet.
American 1060, do you see anybody northwest of you? Can you see back that far there?
Question: if the white plane was truly a private plane, why did Popular Mechanics use fabricated evidence to support their claim? Bonus question: did you know that from the impact site the following items were retrieved? A complete and recognizable ID from a hijacker, the unburnt, untorn testament from a hijacker, a receipt with the name of a hijacker, the photo portrait of a hijacker, a knife belonged to a hijacker, another photo portrait of another hijacker, a laundromat receipt with the name of a hijacker, a bandana, unburnt and untorn, belonged to a hijacker, the passport of a hijacker, with name and picture clearly visible. In the meantime, the plane is nowhere to be seen.